So in this video, what I wanted to do is actually touch on a matter that's been on my mind regarding the rise of AI, the industry overall, and my philosophy around where things are going. Because I've been dabbling a lot and I've been hearing a lot with, clients and students and people just generally worried, like, is my job safe? Is my business safe? What's going on? AI is basically replacing everything. And for me, it actually sent me down my tracks because I have a software engineering background. I ran an agency for, 8 or 9 years before I closed it in 2023. Had a team of 12, scaled it back down, fell out of love for coding for whatever it was and the repetition. But it blows my mind if I look at it today, because what used to take 8 months, in terms of building a SaaS for a client or whatever, now takes a matter of minutes if you know how to plan it and do it. And I'm seeing sort of, at least internally for me, the artist in me sparking, because we can create whatever we want. And if the implementation layer becomes infinite, then that actually leaves a lot of room for the truth to surface. Because for me, like in my experience over the last 5 years consulting, hundreds of thousands of customers had and like clients and revenue seen and whatever, in my point of view, I felt a lot more like a consultant who was good at solving problems, and I had to learn how to coach along the way. And you watching today might be on either side of whatever we're going to call spectrum, just for the sake of today. But the thing that I noticed over time with me was I had to learn how to coach through the process of consulting. I wasn't a coach by nature. I was more of a mentor who did stuff and then consulted people on the things that I did, or could just basically solve problems and learned how to coach along the way. There's other people who are by nature very good at coaching, where they are able to mirror you and see you and feel and listen and hold space and presence. And that's what they're trained to do. And then they had to either learn mentorship or consulting along the way. But with my line of work, at least, I felt that transformation was pretty much information relay disguised as transformation. So what do I mean by that? I've served about 300 or so clients over the last 2.5 years. And when we get on a call, it's always been about, yes, to solve the problem, but relaying information, strategizing, talking about what they should do after the call, and actually maybe co-creating or setting things up. So something common in my world is setting up funnels for marketing and stuff like that. But I've always felt that the information is relayed on the call. The transformation is then just the outcome of relaying that information, right? Like, give me access to your dashboard, your Stripe, your ConvertKit, whatever the tools are, so we can set up the funnel and we just sort of look at what parts of that are done. Versus, when we were introduced to AI, I've built little bots that do all of that, in the click of a button, based and trained on my IP. So then when we get on the call, we actually talk about other things like beliefs, philosophies, values, maybe sometimes like inner stuff and energy that has to do with you as an individual, or that gets in the way of you executing. So I found that fascinating because I'm also embracing a side of me that I've been less used to or had to learn on the go, which is more of the coaching angle, where I'm able to listen, to create space, to allow the individual to talk me through something versus us relaying information. And that part has been fascinating. And also, if you have been in the space, with myself as well, growing my audience to 50K on LinkedIn and seeing all sorts of things, mostly my world sees money claims and stuff like that. And I too always felt a little bit icky when it came to the notion of money, but obviously people are here to make money. And in my world, through marketing, I helped others make it. With the rise of AI, I'm very excited to shift into creating leverage and art, because what we have in front of us is insane, to the best degree, in my opinion. But what I believe, what I'm seeing, for example, if you're a designer, you're learning how to prompt. If you are a writer, you're also learning how to assemble structures and frameworks and things. So AI becomes more integrated the same way that we integrated any other tools in our workflows, right? We went from pen and paper to computers. And then when we had computers, there were other layers that were stacked on top of that. So for example, we may have, the Google Suite that was born, and then we worked from Outlook to G Suite, and then learned how to use the cloud. And then we had SaaS platforms, and if you're anything like me, you can't get out of them, right? Like I use so many on a daily basis. Like Trello is a good one that I use. The entire G Suite. There's Kanban boards, and I use Jira as a developer, and all sorts. I use Fathom nowadays to record stuff, Notion, whatever it is, we've integrated SaaS platforms in our workflow, especially if we're online, and so on and so forth. And now AI is becoming a lot more integratable within. So you can either accept it for what it is and adapt, but the people who are pushing it away, in my humble opinion, are going to miss out, especially in our little bubble, to actually be able to create space. And there is a side of me that somehow or wishes and believes that eventually we will go full circle and embrace the creators in us. Because if the implementation layer becomes obsolete and you can build anything, then we are going to go back to the drawing board, and intimate spaces will be required, or holding space, coaching, events, one-on-one containers, human-to-human interaction, because that's the only thing that is left, right? Emotion. AI still can't feel to this present day, and what we have is the human-to-human touch, right? So being able to invite someone over to speak to someone like I am in this video. I've just realized that I went for a haircut and my hoodie's a mess. It is what it is. But anyway, that then becomes more of a scarce good, or becomes more in demand, and we want to draw on pen and paper and create and embrace who we are. Whereas before, we would hustle to earn, to prove ourselves in that line of work. And nowadays, I've told a bunch of friends in a WhatsApp chat that we mingle with, like, I found it so difficult to sit with the fact that I'm working a little bit less, that I'm embracing silence, that I'm being more creative, simply because the tools we have at hand have helped me systemize everything and deliver things that used to take hours, now take minutes. I'm now embracing, for example, being a full-time dad on Wednesdays and Fridays, and working 3 days a week. And that is against our nature. Now, all that to say, I also believe in our world, IP and brand will be very valuable, because people will buy what you say, right? Like, I can buy any book on copywriting, but if Ben Settle says buy the book, then if you're into email and you trust him or whatever, then you're going to buy it because he said so. Or maybe he has an IP or whatever it is. And I found in my little world, inside Modern Maker, where I have my students and clients, there were certain methodologies and ways that I did things. But again, that required time. And what I did was I took those and created prompts to make offers, to carve out funnels, to write emails with my unique way of doing them that were more story-driven, and actually create a virtual version of me I called Gandalf, because there is only one of me, unique by DNA, and put it into what I'm calling now an AI studio. And I wanted to show you here today what it is, because if we can all have something like this, right, and carry it around, then as consultants, as coaches, as mentors, we can then finally create space and be with our clients. So in my world here, I've got a dashboard. I've been building this over the last few weeks to go with the philosophy of the beginning of this video, where you can count how many users you have, who the top ones are, right? The milestones that they may go through as they use the the platform. I've also done like dark mode, which looks pretty cool. You can have your tools. So in my world, I've got Iggy, the offer doc maker, and Carla, who writes campaigns, like email campaigns. Frodo, who designs your funnel, tells you your low ticket or the bump and upsell, and then writes the copy for all the pages for you. Sally writes posts from your own actual experience, like what you're showing through your client work and what you did recently. Gaia is an AI tool maker, which basically creates these little, I call them plugins, right? They used to be custom GPTs if you've built any with OpenAI. This is powered by Claude. So I'm, as a developer who worked with a lot of WordPress and Craft CMS back in the day, we had a lot of plugins. So this looks like plugin world. So I've called them plugins. And then Gandalf, which is a virtual version of me. What I've also done here, you can change the password. Like it's become a SaaS platform, which is blowing my mind. Because then you can give people access to this, and then you have your own world. So in the analytics tab, you can also see who's using what and how they are interacting with this. Finally, you get a hold of your own data, right? So you can see, like in my world here, what are the top questions that my students are asking and what are they struggling with? And then what are the trends that are happening, right? So it's pretty awesome to witness that we can build something like this, right? And on another note, like you can see your financials and your MRR. I've just sort of blurred this now, but you can connect like your Stripe account. If there's any errors at any point, it will show you your Anthropic tier. It runs on top of Claude, your API status and all of that good stuff. And basically what you can do, you can like pin this to the sidebar. That's another little tool. But for example, you can, where am I? Let's see here. So we got the admin tab, plugins. You can actually add plugins. So I've thought about this and I was like, instead of using ChatGPT, why not create the same functionality where you just insert your prompt here and your knowledge base, and then you can create as many tools as you want, right? You can keep adding them. So for me, the reason I show you this is it blows my mind in the sense that we can create whatever we want with AI, and this now becomes art. I'm planning to like do a little cohort and invite people to create their own. Like other people that I've spoken to were like, oh, I could have like a video portal in here to supplement the tools. I can, will you open source it and allow this to become a marketplace? And I'm like, it's so fascinating once you put things like that out in the open, what people can do with them, right? Because at the end of the day, you have the freedom, the same way with WordPress, for example, they open sourced their platform and their plugins, and then people built other plugins and used the back of the content management system to pair it with other things. We are now in a season where we can create art and we can be, almost SaaS founders or create different products. This to me is my idea because of the line of work that I do, right? So what used to previously happen was I would have, just as an example here, so you can see what I'm talking about. I would have a school community, and then inside of the classroom, we have like tools. And then inside the tools, there's different GPTs that did stuff, right? And then you can create that. Then I moved on from there. And I started building the AI studio because it's a lot more advanced. Like in your line of work, it could be processes, or I've been talking to somebody who was an ex-ghostwriter and he just like got Claude to go to his Trello board, take his client notes, and then build a post out of it. You have the freedom to build whatever you want. Like I built a meal planner for myself and my wife, and I'm looking at like a health planner here for my jogs, and I build little apps for keeping me accountable when I'm preparing for a marathon. all this to say, when we are able to create art with AI and free ourselves from that layer of information, and we allow, I can see like clients and students, they're getting results through the virtual versions of me. So when we actually talk, we're having heart-to-heart conversations. I don't know about you, but that to me is super exciting because it allows us to adapt to actually being more human to human. And I would be really curious what your thoughts are about, the state of where things are going, how you're experiencing your own business. If this whole AI studio or like using AI it's integrated now, AI and agents and all of that you're going to use in your workflows and how you would use them, and also what you would do with all that free time, right? So thank you for sticking around and watching this video. Hope it was useful, and I will see you in the next one.